because I want to, but anyway, did
Well,
you launch it?
we are live, and
Okay.
that's the way the Joe Dante's show always starts. They're just muttering
Okay.
generalities before they start, and then they begin.
Okay. I'm
So
sharing
we're
the
live.
link.
You're sharing the link. I'm going to try to draw tonight on paper. See how that
Oh,
goes.
oh, really?
Yeah.
That ought to be good. The yeah, I'm thinking of. I almost recorded outside tonight, and I wouldn't have drawn. I wouldn't have inked a page. That's why I didn't do it because I needed to be inking. But
Yeah, you might as well get something accomplished, huh?
well, I've been drawing in my sketchbook a lot lately, and you probably haven't been seeing it unless you see it on Tumblr. But I think I've been doing like I did the page of like I think I showed you the Thor, and I did a page of Captain America. Then I did a page of Alpha Flight. I'm doing a page of New Warriors right now. Um, I don't know, just but anyway, but it's so nice outside that I thought I ought to
Yeah.
record outside, but I didn't do it. I'm expecting a package, but I don't think it's going to happen.
What are you going to be getting? It's always nice to
I
get.
am. Oh yeah, no doubt. I am getting the John Byrne. It's a omnibus, but it's the Marvel Classic. So it's kind of all those little one shots that he did, all over the place, joined together. So it's not like a. I think it has his champion stuff, but like it doesn't have Iron Fist. It doesn't have Avengers. It doesn't have. It's just all the he did a little bit of everything for a while there,
Mhm.
which is nice. I've got the artist edition that's John Byrne Marvel Classics, and it's actual pages of all that of a lot of that stuff, and it's kind of cool because you get to see a bunch of different inkers working over John Byrne, and some of the
Mhm.
pages because he did an issue of Captain America. He did an issue of Captain America that never got inked because he quit the book midway through, actually like 3 or 4 pages through, or 5 pages, something like that. And then there was an issue of Captain America that they shot off from the pencils, and it has pages from both of those in there, so you can see examples of his pencils from that era, which are kind of rare because he'd just draw them. He'd send them in, and they'd send them to the inker, and the inker would ink them. And very rarely did people take Xeroxes. There's no way to scan it back then, back in the '70s. So you know, so I'm trying to find the chat.
Hey,
Okay.
Nasser is being a grammar corrector on me. He says when I type an apostrophe after Ellis, my last Ellis, I'm implying there's more than one of me. Now, I was thinking
Uh
that I
oh.
was thinking that
I
I was
think you're
thinking the
right.
words. Oh, you think Nasser's right?
No, I think you're right. Is it? What did you put? Ellis? I don't,
I put an apostrophe after Ellis. Now I'm thinking that you do that when a word ends with S.
yeah,
When
that's what I was always. That's how I remember it.
yeah. So anyway, Nasser, I'm sorry, but even though you have good taste in movies, you're wrong this time.
Well,
Nasser was just sharing. Go
we
ahead.
think you're wrong. I'll go with
Yeah, we
that.
think. Yeah.
Let's not.
I can be very confident about being right with very
However,
little
you're
little provocation.
exactly. I'm confident in my ignorance.
Yeah.
No, I've well, it's funny that you say that because so I've been working from home now for I don't know 6 weeks, 6 months, I don't know, and so my wife and I are in the same office, and so she is seeing what I do at work. And what's funny is she's first of all she's kind of called me out a little bit
So
on
you
the
get paid for that.
yeah. It's like you do what? And I go they're day. But what's funny is I don't think she realized how much I talk to people on the phone as part of just the day to day of my job. And it's like I, I had to make all these weird decisions, and sometimes you go, how am I making this decision? But I've learned that you got to know if you want to be. This is my tip for being a manager, and I don't care if you're at a Taco Bell or at a whatever. If you want to manage people, what you got to know is, among other things, this isn't the only thing, but you have to know not just the answer. You don't have to know the answers because no one expects you to know all the answers. You have to know when you don't know the answer. You have to know who to ask, and you have to know when to answer questions that you don't know the answer to and when not to. Because sometimes you could, you're the people always think, oh, you got to just. And I've worked with people just kind of lie their way through it, and when you get caught like that, it's really bad. No one wants to. You gotta inspire confidence in your employees and your employers.
Yeah.
And I've gotten really good at going, well, I don't know, but I can get the answer. So I'll defer to your grammar question. We may not be right, but we think we are.
He did a follow up. Says you only do S apostrophe when it's a plural possessive, like my parents' room. But that would be an instance of a word that doesn't end in S. And,
right. If it ends in S, I think you add an apostrophe to it.
Yeah, I think so.
Just to add an apostrophe. I don't know though. I mean, I'm not you know.
Yeah. I'm not being. Okay.
But
I only claim to be a writer because anybody can claim it.
Sure. Who's gonna say you're not?
If you go grammar Nazi on me, I'm not going to be able to joust with you too long.
But your mother was a teacher, right?
Yeah, and I think
did she teach? What did she teach? What
my minor was English, for that matter. Yeah. But you know how that goes. I mean, when you minor in English, you end up taking weird, goofy courses where you're.
You know about Shakespeare. You don't know about about grammar.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so just out of curiosity, because I was thinking about this today, what is your day?
Nasser says if it ends in S, you do apostrophe S anyways.
Oh, you do?
That's what he says.
So it's Ellis's. Ellis's.
Yeah. All that hissing, all that syllabus.
Yeah.
Sibilance. I don't know what she's glitchy on that either.
For my comic, I've got to draw a Medusa. It's a gang. I've only drawn one, but it's a gang of Medusas, like a biker gang of Medusas.
Yeah.
And so I drew a close up of one, and it's just like a toss away line where they talk about, running them off the road or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I drew one because Medusas are terrible to draw because you got to draw those snakes. I drew one and. But she's like riding a motorcycle, a Harley or whatever. But you can't see that. You can just see the headlight and the handlebars, and enough you get the idea. But you can see her knuckles, and so on her knuckles, across her knuckles, I put the word HISS, which I thought was pretty funny because it's a Medusa, so it's hiss.
Hiss, yeah. I get it. Took me a
while. Anyway, So here's what I was going to ask you, Ellis.
Okay.
What is a day? What is your routine like? I thought I knew at one point. I'm just curious. Do you still go walk in the mornings?
Because I think so many people here, like Nasser, are probably marginal kind of personalities. I don't really want to go into my routine in terms of like danger to my. No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean because you walk in the morning, right?
I walk whenever it suits me. I would really rather live in a neighborhood where I could just fall out the front door and go for a nice, long, satisfying walk. But I live in such an ugly part of town that it's not satisfying on that count, and it's also not a good thing to be out walking. Even though I was compulsive about it when I came back here. From Southern California, There was
Yeah.
something that drove me to constantly be walking everywhere. And I guess
It
it was
was
because
living with your brother.
that was part of it. It was a big relief to get out. But also, when I was a kid and lived in this house, I walked everywhere. So it was kind of like
But the neighborhood
getting
was
there.
different then.
Yes, and that's what
Mhm.
really brought it home to me was that it has all just it died and gone away in terms of like what it used to be. So, but that at the same time,
Yeah.
it was kind of cool to
Yeah.
uh, do that exploration.
So I was going to ask you, and I'm not really leading up to anything, but I was just kind of curious because Michelle and I have been running every morning, right? And I know that you ran for a while, but you've kind of started walking, which is probably less harmful to your joints.
Oh yeah, I only jog when I'm trying to get somebody in my rear view mirror. Yeah,
Pretty
on the walk
quickly.
on the walk. Yeah, it's like
But
I don't like to overtake people gradually. I say, okay, I'm faster than you on the walk. I'll I'll get by you. You know,
yeah, oh, gotcha,
and
gotcha,
so I'll run for a while.
gotcha. But at one point, you told me that you were jogging to work when you worked
Oh
at
yeah,
the was it it was the at the phone company, right?
it was
Or the
next to the phone
yeah.
company, Opubco.
Oh, okay. Oh, it was when you worked at OPUBCO. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I was trying to figure that out because I didn't think you actually worked for the phone company. You
no,
worked for the people that did the phone book,
yeah, yeah.
but it
And we
wasn't at the phone
And when I worked
company.
at that job, I worked a block. I lived a block away from that job.
At the
So
phone, the wait, the
at
one you
the
ran to, or
no, at the
OPUBCO?
no, at the phone ads, yellow page ads job.
Now, where was that place located?
That was on North Portland, right over in the neighborhood of the fairgrounds, northwest. What is that? 10th, something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha, gotcha. It's kind of by OSU OKC,
yeah,
the
yeah, exactly.
college. Okay.
Northwest 13th in Portland.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So when you worked there, where'd you live? You said you lived a
Uh,
block away.
yeah, it was literally a block away in a little,
Apartment down there.
yeah, a little duplex thing that I rented.
Oh, gotcha. Now, and I'm building. What I'm trying to figure out is how far you ran when you ran to work. That's
Well, I could map it on
because,
Google. Let me look.
well, I mean, where did you live in that same spot? Because I know where you were working. Because this
No,
is when you
no,
worked at.
I'll figure that out. Because well,
Because
I actually did move close to another spot when I bought a house. So let me see when that.
oh, I didn't know you bought a house in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I did it one time. Yeah, that's another story. Let's see. Oh,
your
Pupco.
your your home ownership stories of.
Oh yeah. Oh, Pupco to be
Hey,
sold September 11th. That's the story. Jeez.
we have during the pandemic we've spent so much money on our house because we had it painted, which was not
Yeah.
cheap. I live in a two-story house, so I'm not going to paint it myself. I have painted myself. When we first moved in, I painted it, and it took way too long, and it's
I
a
may paint
job to
mine.
do it right. Oh, now see if I had a single-story house, I'd paint. I used to paint houses with the guy. So I'm
Oh,
certainly not above painting houses.
you can give me some tips.
Don't I'll give you a quick tip right off the bat. Do not
Okay.
buy cheap brushes.
Okay.
Buy good brushes and clean them well. Because everybody always buys cheap brushes and they don't clean them. And I finally convinced my wife that if you buy a decent brush and take care of it, which by that because everybody hates to clean them, but it's like, well, you got to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But if you buy a decent brush, I mean, it's amazing. The paint will go on better. You know, it just if you buy a cheap brush, it just because the bristles just don't lay flat. They don't stroke right, and so buy a good brush and take care of it, or just accept the fact that you're going to blow your money and don't take care of it and throw your $20 away or whatever. But don't buy a cheap brush, and I would say don't skimp on paint. But yeah, I had an air conditioner installed the other day.
Oh boy.
By the way, I still haven't given you that guy's number, have I? I need to
What
do
guy?
that.
Okay.
My AC. At one point, you were talking about having an AC guy.
Oh yeah. Just for in case.
Well, I got a guy, just in case. But it's been nice. Thankfully, we hadn't had to use our air conditioner much here. You know, like I said, it was real nice outside. Anyway, I was just curious how far because, like I said, Michelle and I are running every morning. We didn't run this morning because it was raining, but we're doing it and then going to work, so we're kind of limited in our time.
Okay, just that where your dentist is at is where I used to have kind of have a house. And,
oh, really?
Very close to that, walking distance across that creek. And so the distance is total distance.
You ran from there down.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there
5
downtown
to Opupgo. So I didn't exactly trace my route. I tried to, devise a route that was as a straight line as possible. And I wonder how I dealt with the idea of, it seemed like I had something where I ran around right before I got to, I used to run past the fairgrounds.
Oh my gosh.
But that doesn't seem like that.
You'd be backtracking.
Yeah, I know. It seems like I would be. I'm trying to find the fairgrounds.
I was telling Michelle, I thought you'd live by the fairgrounds.
Well, that's the deal. I guess I probably did run for a time, and maybe the entire period of time that I did run, maybe I was living in the rental, because that's a totally different route. Let me remeasure that.
That's not very far. I mean, it's a ways. Don't get me.
It's not as much nearly.
It's probably
and it makes more sense that I had to figure out how to get past a river going to the park.
Oh yeah,
that area.
So you'd be going May, or go from May to Penn to Western to I don't know what, like downtown. Yeah, you're probably 4 miles, 3.5 miles.
Yeah. Well, still, I have to. Okay, yeah. Let's just call it that. Yeah, that one measures up to about 4 miles almost.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
No, I mean that's farther than we run every morning, but it would certainly be doable. You were younger than we are, so.
Oh yeah.
I was
about a little, maybe 23, something like that.
Oh yeah, we've been running pretty much the whole pandemic. Now I didn't for a little bit, but if we go back to work, or when we go back to work, let me say, I'm going to kind of miss it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I mean, in the morning, I don't feel like doing it, but
you can kind of be a little bit of a freak about it. I certainly have been a bit of a freak about it, having to make sure I always got my run in, and I worked around people that I could have been going out to lunch with or whatever, but my lunch hour was my run. So
you would run at lunchtime too?
Oh yeah. Well, no, later when I was living in Southern California, I always tried to make work time run time.
Oh, gotcha. See, my dad ran in high school. He was on the track team, and he held the mile record in Yukon, which is where the town that he grew up in and I grew up in, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City for any of our listeners. But he held the mile record pretty much until they retired it and went to metric. No one broke it. And he would run when I was a kid. And I remember he'd come home from work and he'd run. And he had a little logbook that he kept track of all of his miles and stuff. He was
Did
pretty
he?
fanatic about it.
Yeah. He was one of those James. I don't know if
Oh yeah,
James Fix played a role in his life, but it did certainly in mine.
probably not. You talking about the guy that wrote the running book?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
He would that would have been before him, yeah. Well before him, I guess.
Well, this would have been back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. No.
But
Well, probably 10 years or so from being your dad's age, I guess. I don't know. How old's your dad?
oh, that's a good question. I think he's 75.
You see, I'm about
76, something like that.
About exactly 10 years older or younger than he is. Yeah.
But anyway, I was curious about that because, like I said, Michelle and I were talking about run, and I just mentioned to her, well, Ellis used to run to work when he worked at I said the phone company because I knew where the building was. I forgot that used to be Opubco because remember the time we went up there.
It's close to Opubco. It's not Opubco.
Right. Anyway.
It's downtown. So, everything downtown is close to Opubco.
Yeah. Downtown Oklahoma City is not super large.
It's not a monstrous.
It's not like some cities.
Mega, yeah.
You can go. It's funny because like you'll go downtown, and last 2 Fridays I've ended up going downtown for various reasons, mostly just to goof off. But you can go downtown Oklahoma City, and pretty much walk across the street anywhere you want, almost without looking. Now I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. I would not recommend without looking, but there is, compared to like big cities, there's not a lot of traffic. Now there's traffic, but I mean, it's certainly not like New York City, where if you don't cross the corner, you're going to get killed,
and hopefully, if with any luck at all, it stays like that. But I'm trying to think. There's just virtually nothing I could think of bringing people here, because it is really, it's almost a people repellent in terms of like weather and culture. It's just not going to be bringing a large amount of people in. There's just not. And it's,
I would agree with that. There's just not a lot of. It's an odd town. I mean, I think there are a lot of good things about Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of them is not a lot of people in it.
Yeah, it's certainly, it's more affordable. I mean, God, think about, I know you've talked about, oh man, it'd be cool to live in Portland, and think about that now in terms of everything going on up there, and living up there and just starving. I had to laugh because I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking, and I know part of this is true from other, I shared that thing that I got where it's talking about how much comic artists make at like Marvel, like what their starting rates are. And I was listening to a thing and it was talking about how much editor, like an editor at Marvel makes like $40,000. It's like, oh my gosh, you would starve to death in New York City with $40,000.
Oh yeah.
A year. I don't know how you'd live. I know how you'd live. Because
you'd have roommates. You would have
roommates, or you would commute a long ways and have roommates.
Yeah,
you probably wouldn't live in Manhattan.
Nope.
It would be tough. You couldn't do it unless you had roommates. And I mean, man, we rented an apartment in New York one time when we went up there, and it was a 1-bedroom. It was, the whole apartment was smaller than your living room, Ellis. I mean, by a long shot.
Yeah, I see those pictures.
And oh my gosh, it was horrible. I mean, even it was smaller than most hotel rooms we've stayed at. It's just like, oh my gosh, we're never doing this again. And it had a crappy elevator, and it had we had to, the last day we had to take our trash down to the basement. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like out of Freddy Krueger or something, you know. And Michelle looked on Zillow or something, and she said, "Oh yeah, apartments in that building go for, I think she said like $2,500 a month or something like that."
Wowzer. Yeah.
And you're just like, holy cow! You can buy a very nice house in Oklahoma City for that. Now people will say, "Well, it's in Oklahoma City. That's
exactly right." Yep.
Well, that's true. That's true, but you know.
Natasha International knows a guy that makes 30 grand a year and is about to get a house. Yep, you can do it if you're in the right part of the country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely do it.
And
I mean, in Oklahoma City, you could live off 30 grand pretty easily. I mean, you wouldn't be rolling in it, obviously, but you could. I think you could get a house. I mean, a decent house payment in Oklahoma City is about $1,000 a month. So I mean, you'd be spending 12 grand a year on your house. You wouldn't have a lot left, but I mean, you could get them cheaper than that too. I think that's what mine is.
But that's what you're down to, about $1,000 a month.
Oh, my house. I think it's actually a little bit cheaper than that. I think our payment is about $900, which, by the way, I think last time I checked, we owe like $24,000 on our house.
Oh, that's a good place to be.
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry, I turned the TV on. Yeah, I mean, of course, then it's like, well, then what do you do once you pay your house off? It's like, well, you don't have a house payment hanging over your head. You own your domicile, even though you never really own it.
No, they're always ready to take it away from you if you don't pay your taxes or whatever.
You got to pay your taxes and all that jazz. Which, I mean, you owe your taxes. Got to pay your taxes, Ellis.
Yep.
Hang on just a second. I got to stand up. So I'm drawing. This page is pretty rough. I didn't realize how rough this page was. I probably should be drawing from the other way. I'm drawing this page, and it's got these cyclopses driving an ice cream truck. And based on the script, I kind of pictured them as like frat boys. So I kind of drew them wearing polo shirts and, kind of dumb jock kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, cyclopses would be. I'm just drawing. I'm trying to get my mojo back on creating figures out of my head. So I drew a bunch of blocks and turned them into expressive little figures, hopefully.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. That looks good.
I'm just drawing while I'm talking to you.
Gotcha.
I've got to start my... I have been kind of stalled lately. I've got that final couple of pages for my comic, and I'm just not doing them because it requires going into Photoshop, doing some layout with text and a few photos, and I'm just not doing it. I haven't not done it for a couple of weeks now. I could have had a comic book a couple of weeks ago, but I just stalled. But I don't torture myself over stalling. It's like I'll get it done. If I don't, I didn't. It's like if I die, no great tragedy.
What did you tell me when I had my issue 3? I had it all done and inked.
Well, that was the pipeline.
No, I was like delaying scanning them because I was like, I didn't want to erase them all because like I don't want to sit there and erase all that stuff. And you were like, well, you got to get what'd you tell me? You said you gave me
the pipeline was waiting for you. Pipeline's not waiting on me.
Which I don't know. I don't know if they're even working on it, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The sad thing is, I'm inking page 12. I got through 16 penciled. So I've got 4 more pages penciled besides this one, after this one. And I don't have anything to work on after that. It's like, what am I going to work on? I don't know. And I talked to the
Well,
writer, and
that's
he
the
says,
way
"Well,
to
let's."
be. Always stay, engaged with something.
Yeah, I talked to the writer, and he's like, "Well, we got to wait and see how it goes because we may want to do a sequel." I was hoping, that my the Big Easy score would get picked up because that would have been great to work on next.
Oh yeah.
Different writer, but you know, I don't know. I really want to do. I don't know. I want to draw. I've been drawing the superheroes in my sketchbook, and it's like, oh man, I want to draw a superhero book. This is kind of a superhero book. At least I'm telling myself that. I mean, it's got a lot of action, which I'll take that.
They are
It's talking
extraordinary
heads.
beings. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yes, definitely. So
Have you, I'm listening to, I'm just almost done with it. I'm a disc away from being done. The Killers of the Flower Moon. And
Oh, is that about the murder on Indian land?
yes,
Or am I completely confused? Okay.
the
Okay.
Osage murders. Yes. And apparently, I had no idea how huge that case was back in the day. That was the biggest thing in the country. You had to be Lindbergh to have been bigger in terms of like catching the nation's attention. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and it was going to be a Scorsese Robert De Niro movie, and the virus has put it on hold. And you know how movies go. There's always the possibility it'll be like, we could have made that maybe, but just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
work. Just didn't work out. I would really like that to be a Martin Scorsese movie. That would be
Money
a
moved on.
real,
We don't have our
yeah,
financing.
exactly. It's
Could
it's
happen.
amazing how you know what Scorsese has worked his way through to make his movies. It always requires him to get the financing and all that, but he always keeps plugging away and finding it and getting it done.
So drawing these cyclopses, I just completely ignored any kind of skull structure and just went to town. It's like I don't know what they look like. You could get to think about eyebrows and all this. It's like I don't know what it'd look like. I'm just drawing it.
Yeah. Well, the
So have
deal
you?
is for expression, you have to joint the middle of their brow like it was working for two eyes. In other words, the brow has to become bifurcated, if that's the word, and has to work on either side of the orb. Let's see. Every friend I have had that has left the state, Natasha International is in Oklahoma, has come back and
Oh, that's right.
realized the price of living here isn't so bad here after all. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think people get enamored with this idea. And my wife and I looked into moving to New York City a couple of years ago, and she, my wife is an electrical engineer, and so you think, man, if anybody's gonna, you think, oh man, she'll be able to get, there's so much construction and all this kind of stuff that'd be a perfect place for her to live. Well, she goes up there and gets to talking to them, and literally they were offering her like, there was like 10 grand more than she made here, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. I mean,
Yeah.
our housing just to rent a place, not buy a place, it would probably double. Not to mention everything else would go. I mean, the only go down be we wouldn't have to own a car, but that's not that much. And
Yeah.
so we kind of we just kind of went into it with the idea of, hey, if it works, it works, and I mean, we kind of, and I'm a big believer in this idea of, what's the saying that God will open a door and that kind of thing, and so.
Mhm.
And so we just felt like the door didn't open. So So we kind of resigned ourselves to that. And even when we were up there, we were like, well, this isn't going to work out. And we were on a subway car, like our one of our last days there, that particular visit, and it was at the end of the day, and it opened. The door, we went to a stop somewhere, and we were like the only ones in the train, and it just filled up with junior high school kids, and it was so loud, and it was so obnoxious,
Obnoxious. Yeah.
and it was like having to ride a school bus. I mean, think about like the noisiest school bus you've ever been on, and you're just packed in there, and it's like, you know what, this is, it's not worth what we'd have to sacrifice. Not
Yep.
worth it.
Yep. Like I
And
say, the
and
idea of
we
living in
got
a place.
clarity.
Yeah, yeah. Living in a place that
And
is a people repellent is not a bad idea.
yeah, well, exactly. And it was like, I don't think I want. I don't. It just feels like, okay, I'm okay with this. Not. And really, the other thing was, for what we make here, Michelle and I do pretty well, and we certainly don't spend all of our money. I mean, we don't live very extravagantly. Let me put it that way. And it's like, well, we could go to New York. I mean, we
Yeah,
were going
yeah.
until this year. We were going twice a year,
Go to New
and
York
we
with
could go
room
more.
service. Yeah.
Go to New York with a room service, not live there, have
Hmm.
money to spend, then go back home, and Now,
Yep.
of course, this year we're not going, and at this point, I don't know.
If you're ever
I don't
going
know when
back,
I
yeah.
want to go. I don't know if I'm ever, and I've kind of told myself, well, that's okay. They've got, they've gone nuts up there, so maybe I don't want to go back.
They've got
Certainly think.
they have to free themselves from De Blasio so they can get back to work on giving it some Rudy Giuliani cleansing, and maybe it'll be okay again someday. You know.
Well, I mean, forget about the riots or whatever you're calling the protest. I mean, which are happening almost nightly in some of the
Well,
areas.
or the
Just the
billionaires
crime
all
rate.
moving out. Yeah,
Oh yeah, the crime rate is just skyrocketed up there,
yeah.
and
They have emptied the jails. That if they're a sad bunch, the leftists, in terms of cause and effect. The one of the main things they fight you about in terms of like in the public discussion is trickle down economies, and
yeah.
there's no more evident notion of the trickle down economy than how panicked De Blasio is right now about losing his billionaires. It's like
Oh yeah.
he understands he needs those people willing to pay that huge tax burden
Yeah. 50% of their taxes or whatever they
for
pay. Oh, it's ridiculous.
for him to keep his civil servant job. So
Michelle's Michelle's a good friend of ours really lives up there, and we talked to her, and I've told her like because she's lived up there her entire life. She grew up there, and I've said, if you want to move, you can come. I will make sure you have a place to stay, and that you just say the word, and I will help. I mean, and I know she
but
would
I tell you
never
what,
do it.
that can be very important to have an exit. I mean, yeah, I mean
Well,
you
I
can
felt
get to
like
where you can't afford to make a move like that, even though you might want to. Hey, NASA
well.
wants to change the subject to movies.
Oh, okay. Oh,
What
okay.
is your
Sorry.
I'm just kind of wanting to
No,
talk about
no. Go ahead.
movies myself. Uh,
Sure.
what
Go
is
ahead.
your favorite Vincent Price movie? How about you? What's your favorite Vincent
Me?
Price movie?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know. I'm drawing a
Edward
blank.
says Edward Scissorhands. No, I don't know. That's much
That's your
later.
favorite?
No, it's not. Dr. Goldfoot in the Bikini Machine. No, that's not it either. Even that was a pretty bad one.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
a mutual friend of ours had that, and this is weird. Were you talking about the movie Mantos and the Hand of Fate or whatever it is? What is you
Matt,
were talking about that in an email, I think.
yeah, maybe.
So a friend of ours, and you would know who it is, but I'm not going to say his name. But a friend of ours is doing a set of trading cards, like sketch cards for that movie.
I'll be honest with you. The only way to watch something like that is with the riff tracks or MST3K. I really, as much as I claim to, I know a lot of bad films. I've seen a lot of bad films, but honestly, a film as bad as Monos, Hand of Fate, is so bad it makes you angry at the people that made it. Because it bores you. It bores you so badly. But I guess some
that's the
people,
that's the that's the sin with
yes, that
movie
is the
making. It
sin.
can't be
Yeah, yeah,
it can't be boring.
yeah. But
But I
you
don't.
watch it with a commentary track. Was Ellis
Yeah.
around when they showed movies in a Nickelodeon? I have gone to Spring Lake where they still had the residual old Nickelodeons where you could put a nickel in it and see kind of like the old films they had back then. I have no idea. They might have actually been vintage film strips that were in them. And you could watch old timey people doing crap. So I have seen old Nickelodeons, even though that isn't truly my era, Nasser. Uh, uh,
Yes, Ellis was born in 1920.
yeah.
No,
It's
but those
turning.
were what.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, well, I'm gonna. Okay, so I'm stuck at home, and I listen to. I'm starved for stuff to listen to, so I'll listen to about anything. And I stumbled across a podcast, and they had an episode. I forget the name of it. It had an odd name, but it was about uh, these like I guess like porno theaters in Times Square. And so I thought, well, this might be interesting. And it was about this guy that brought, I guess that I think they called them peep shows, but what they were was they had
Was that the where?
refurbished those old machines.
Yeah.
Do what?
Were you? Was it called the Rialto Report?
Yes, that's it. That's it. Have you heard it?
Those things are fascinating to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've listened to a few of them, and it's interesting because they're going back and finding the old porno stars from the 70s and 60s that apparently, warped these people's brains to where they're heroes. And so they're
Yeah.
going back and tracking them down. And that guy, that one profile of that guy was fascinating. How much mafia was involved and what he had to stay ahead
Yeah.
of and all that. It was fascinating.
Yeah, he kind of at some point it was just like, okay, this is over because he had competition, but he kind of cornered the market on those machines because he found the manufacturer, and the guy had been making like I think like a big order for him was like 3 a month, and he comes in, he tells him I want like 30 or something
Yes,
crazy
right.
like
Yeah.
that.
So all of a sudden he's
Yeah,
bending your arm. Hey, Flypox Pro showed up. He says he's having internet problems and may not be around the whole show. That's all right. You made it.
that's
Where are we
okay.
at?
You can
We're
watch.
at we're at 43 minutes. You got it.
We're at
You
43
got plenty.
minutes. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's perfect. Uh, I wanted to also finish off with my favorite Vincent Price film. It's probably The
Oh, please
Tingler.
do.
The Tingler, which is if you haven't seen The Tingler, you definitely need to see The Tingler. Because Vincent Price
But
is
don't you have to see it in the theater?
no, not really. Even though
Isn't it?
yeah, there are very very few of them had the Tingler seats. That was William Castle. It,
Yeah.
it didn't it didn't have Tingler seats when I saw it. So, but no,
William Castle. I saw a documentary about him. It was kind of
oh yeah,
interesting because
oh,
he had that, and then he had the what was the one like the House of Ghosts or 13 Ghosts or whatever it was, where you had the special glasses. You could see the ghost in the film.
13 Ghosts, yeah.
Was it 13 Ghost? And then he had the one that they would run the ghost down the wire during the movie.
That was still 13.
Was that?
That was still 13
Oh,
Ghosts.
that
Yeah.
was the same movie? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought there were 3 of them that he did like that with a little trick in them.
He always had little gimmicks. He did, what's the one with the guy with the frozen smile on his face with a Sardonicus. He had a film called Sardonicus where a guy, and this is based on an old Ray Russell story, that a guy knows his dead father who's just passed away. He knows his father has a winning lotto ticket, and they've just buried him in his best suit. That requires him to ghoulishly go out and dig up the old man. And so he's so guilty and he's so horrified by what he's up to. He won't let himself look at his father. But then when he finally does, the rictus of death has pulled his mouth all the way up to his ears practically with this horrible smile. So he screams and stumbles out of the grave. And then when he gets home, he's got the exact same smile on his face. And it won't come off. He has to eat soup. He has to eat soup through his teeth and all this other stuff to survive. And,
so he can't open his mouth, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And so then the premise is he has to look for people that can maybe free him from this condition. And it had
a good lockjaw doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And they show him off as being evil and all that. So the William Castle gimmick was, at one point, it comes on with a judgment moment where you get to vote with the card they handed out. And allegedly, you know, you could either thumbs up or thumbs down on whether he died or not. And of course, the only way for it to go is like William Castle comes on and says, well, it looks like you decided you wanted to see him die. Of course, because that's the only way they could show it. And so
yeah, they're not going to change rules in the middle of the thing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that was one of his gimmicks. Trying to think what else he did. Well, of course, one of his most famous film that he actually had a creative role in was he had the script for Rosemary's Baby. He had managed to get the rights to it.
Oh, that's right.
And he wanted to direct it, and everybody told him, no, this is our hotshot Roman Polanski's time. And thankfully for, you know, good movie's sake, Polanski did it.
Yeah. Would have been a little different with.
Yep.
I think he still made a bundle off that.
Oh yeah. I'd also like to see the William Castle version too, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one is called the big one. It was kind of interesting because it was a trans kind of movie too. I think it predated Psycho, about a killer that was, you know, gender confused. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, was he gender confused in Psycho, or did he just dress up like his mom?
Yeah. You know, that's what that's what they made a point of. The guy goes, "No, not a transvestite. He is his mother." Yeah.
Oh yeah. He wasn't confused. He wasn't confused about his gender. He was confused about who he was.
Now he is his mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that's not a spoiler for anybody out there that.
Oh yeah. Well, if you haven't seen Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. That was always that was my favorite joke in Happy Days. The guy they called the Mouth. The whole family is just ready to go out and see Psycho. It's 1960 again. And Ralph goes, "Oh, that's great. Anthony Perkins is his own mother." You know, the old man, that old chubby old man that played the father, just
Tom
slowly,
Bosley. Tom
yeah,
Bosley.
just slowly takes his coat off and hangs it up. He's just not. He won't be
Not
going out
going now.
Not going now.
Saving my nickel.
Yep.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that about Happy Days, because I've been watching. Don't laugh, but I've been watching Andy Griffith on Prime in the morning before I go to work. I'll get
those
my
are
sketchbook and draw.
great characters.
Well,
yeah.
I tell you what. Well, first off, it's amazing how many good-looking women stop off in Mayberry.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
Just
those
constantly.
actresses during that day, yeah.
Oh yeah. The other day, what's her face? Julie, is it Adams? The girl that was in The Creature from the Black Lagoon was on.
Oh yeah.
She played a nurse.
Oh yeah. Julie Adams.
Apparently, she did a lot of TV. Julie Adams, yeah. But I tell you what, I've been impressed by. Man, Ron Howard as a kid, he was a heck of an actor.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how old he was when he played Opie, but holy cow, man! I watched one this morning. I know they were coaching him and all that jazz, but man, he was good.
Oh yeah, but he talks about that. He talks about how great all those guys were around him. They were really, what you'd want a kid to be exposed to. They were a great bunch of guys.
Oh, you can that comes across.
Yeah,
I think in those episodes.
Okay. Since I titled this Big Wednesday, I'll make a reference to Big Wednesday and John Milius. You know who John Milius is, right? John Milius is the guy that directed Conan. He wrote Apocalypse Now. He's who the Coen brothers based Walter on, in terms of like getting a feel for the character. He was Walter. And anyway,
Walter from
the Big Lebowski, who played who was played by
Roseanne's husband.
Yeah, Roseanne's husband. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whatever. Tom Arnold.
No.
Tom Arnold?
No.
It's
John Goodman.
John Goodman. Oh, Tom Arnold's a real husband.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, Big Wednesday is him trying to fix in time for himself that golden period, probably mid-60s, well before the 70s, when he was out and he was a surfer during that period in Southern California. And so it's biographical. And it's Gary Busey, as skinny as he would ever be. He probably lost even more weight to play Buddy Holly, but he's fit. He's got very little fat on him. And then they got guys that definitely don't have any fat on them. They've got Jan Michael Vincent, who was born with no fat on him, I guess, and William Catt, who was in the American Superhero or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, Greatest American Hero.
Yeah, he put on the red suit and he could fly.
Yeah, with the fro.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day. And he was in good shape. And it looks like, as far as I could tell, all of them could surf, which is may have been a requirement of Milius for the movie. But anyway, it's fun to watch, as and you get the same feeling when you watch a movie like Night Tide with Dennis Hopper. When you're looking at Venice Beach back during the day, and you think, oh my God, that would have been so beautiful to live there right before it all exploded and blew up and everything like that. And that's what this period is. He's recapturing that period for himself. He wrote it and directed it. and he's
What's it
quite
called
a.
again?
It's called Big Wednesday. You want to see
I'm writing
something?
it down.
You want to entertain yourself? Just read Milius's bio on Internet Movie Database. That is just
Oh
endlessly
yeah.
entertaining because he's just a guy that he wrote Jeremiah Johnson, great movie,
Yeah.
and he just wrote some great screenplays. He came out of the guys that ran with each other during this period of the school he came out of. It was Francis Ford Coppola, him, and one other big name who I can't think of right now. But they're all guys that became real big mucks that came out of school together. And he's the one that had the quickest ascent. And then they also mentioned a lot about Dillinger, which was all shot in Oklahoma. Even
Really?
even right down to the theater downtown, and I think it's called the Midwest Theater. No, that's not it.
There was a Criterion downtown.
Yeah, it's not that one
But
either.
I don't know what. I don't know. I think they shut it down in the '60s during urban renewal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All that stuff's gone. I remember. Well, I went to that theater quite a few times. Saw some Sergio Leone movies there. Says God bless. I'll show you. I'll come up with the theater right now. I'll look it up. I'll look up John Milius real quick.
There's a documentary about Milius on Prime.
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched it.
I think it's called Milius.
Worth. I think it's called Milius. Worth watching then.
Oh yes, definitely. Oh, the other big guy is George Lucas. George Lucas,
yeah.
and of course those guys all interacted with each other's project back in the day. He wrote Apocalypse Now. He did a couple of things for Lucas.
He did? Was he involved with American Graffiti?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, that's what I always thought, or that's what I was thinking, that he was involved with American Graffiti somehow or another.
Well, the character of the guy with the yellow hot rod is supposed to be him. He's kind of given a sound-like name a little bit.
That's not the guy with the glasses, is it? No, that's...
No. The guy with the rolled up t-shirt.
Yeah. The guy, that's the guy that races Harrison Ford.
Yes. I didn't know this. He was instrumental in the startup of the Ultimate Fighting Championships. He's the one who He's the one that suggested it be a octagon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
He's a huge. He's made 2 films that deal a little bit with Teddy Roosevelt, big hero of his.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I know you can tell I'm on the trivia page right at the moment. Oh, this is the biggest crack up. He was going to direct a film about Alexander the Great. Now, who would be the perfect Alexander the Great, Scott?
Oh,
well,
gosh,
he was going.
I don't know.
He was going to try to do it. He was going to try to do it with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
What?
I know.
Okay. Well,
here we go.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe it's like Doesn't sound right, does it?
No, it doesn't. It might work. I don't know. That's just an odd. Seems like an odd choice to me. But
you can make anything work. It's just like the William Castle version of Rosemary's Baby. I would watch it. Yeah.
I've been watching The Prisoner on Amazon Prime. Those are really good.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about those.
If you have Amazon Prime and you've never seen The Prisoner, I recommend you watch them. The irony of watching a show called The Prisoner while I am a prisoner in my own home has not escaped me. It's very, in a way, because they're on this in the village, and these people have everything they want, and 90% of the people there, probably more than that, are perfectly content to be prisoners. They're taken care of. They
Yep.
got, it's a nice village, but he's just like, nope, I'm not having it. And it's interesting because I think our time, and there's a lot of, he's constantly being watched. He's constantly, and if you watch them, don't watch them in the order they're on Prime. Go online and find the order, because they were never shown in the correct order for whatever reason, which I can't imagine. I guess they
Yeah,
filmed them all
that's
before they
weird.
started releasing them.
Well, they're not very
Oh,
linear when you look at them. They're
well,
fairly
they're
they're fairly
not, but they
complete.
are. Yeah, well, but here's the thing, though. When you watch them, the order I found online, which I think is fairly universally known, I don't think I don't think there's a lot of debate. But the website that I found, they based the order that they listed them at based on like references in the show. And what I've noticed is he gets, you can see like early on, as the series progresses, he becomes more and more aggressive about trying to get out of
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and more accustomed to stuff, but also more determined, it seems like, to get out of there.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
pretty good. They're pretty
He
good. They're,
tries to kind of brute force his way out earlier, and then
yeah.
he becomes like sneakier about it and clever.
Oh, the one I watched last night, I forget the name of it, but he was totally messing with them. He was you could see that he was a spy, or a secret agent in that one, because he was totally using that sort of technique against them. It was pretty good. But I think if you watch them out of order, you wouldn't catch that kind of thing.
Yeah,
If you watch them, because this one was like, fairly in the middle of it, and I'm about done with them. So it makes sense. It would be later on in the series. I'm gonna watch them, and my goal is to watch them twice, because I was afraid. I'm still kind of afraid that they'll disappear off of Prime, and the DVDs are really expensive.
yeah.
That's why I say, because I always grew up hearing about it, but I never saw it.
I,
And
I just got two movies from the library. In
oh,
terms
did
of
you?
movies I probably ought to own but don't, and so I got them from the library. Tombstone and Rock and Roll High School. There's an evening for you.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen Rock and Roll
Wow. Yeah.
High
That's.
School?
I have not. That's the one with the
Oh
Ramones,
man,
though, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to see that someday. Oh, that's good. Hey Nasser, it was good to see you. He's got to go. He made a comment
Oh,
that
okay.
I was old enough to see Buddy Holly in concert. Not quite, but I do. I was more I was more still a kid when that guy wrote the song about. I drove my Chevy to the levee. That was supposedly about the music dying. What was that guy's name?
Well,
What
that
was
was
his?
that was about Buddy Holly,
Yeah,
Don
that was
McLean,
Don McLean. Yeah,
American Pie, American Pie.
correct. That's right.
Now, my dad, who we said was about 10 years older than you, he was. I don't know if. Oh, I don't know what year he graduated from high school, but he was a big Buddy Holly fan when he was a kid in high school. So he would have been. I don't think he ever
He,
saw him, but he would have.
yeah, yeah. Buddy was definitely
Yeah.
of 1950s, and I was born the early third of 1950. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
Late.
You're kind of like me.
Yeah, I was almost mid 50s, you could say.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
me in the '60s.
yeah, yeah.
I was born in
Fly,
'67, so
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
sorry.
No, no, no. The Flyfox Pro is throwing out the data as usual. He's got his. He knows everything we're talking about before we say it. Yep.
So I was going to ask you. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask you if you listen to more of your Bible, how many
Right.
discs did it end up being, or how much data was that thing by the time you got it copied,
Eight
or how many
gig.
discs was it on from the library? What'd you say, like 64?
Yeah, 62 discs.
Have you listened to
And,
any of it?
and it was 8 gig. No, I have not, and I'm going
8
to if I
gig.
ever, if I get settled down into doing having to solve this. I'm thinking about a web comic coming up, and I need to get to where I'm just drawing all the time. But
Yeah.
first, I have to get the comic book that is almost out the door, and I need to get it out the door. But then
Oh, the one that
when
you
that's
haven't.
done, I'm
Oh,
actually looking
gotcha.
for all the. I'm looking forward to all that storytelling in the Bible because it'll be
Oh,
fun
yeah, yeah.
to experience all that.
I've been reading Genesis online on Facebook since the pandemic started. I've been reading a chapter a night on live on Facebook, and mostly because I don't know why. Well, I know why. I don't want to say why, but I'm reading Genesis, and the Old Testament can be very violent.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a different time. I read a story, and I forget what chapter of Genesis it was. It was probably 34, I think, where Jacob, who was the I'm gonna butcher the genealogy. You're the son or the grandson, I think, of Abraham. His daughter, his daughter basically got raped by one of the guys in the town,
Hmm.
and so and the guy then said he was in love with her, and so then the guy's dad goes to Abraham and says, why don't they get married? If they get married, well, and then his thing was, if they get married, then our flock can intermingle. And of course, Jacob was a very rich man at this point, and so there's a financial incentive for this guy to marry, for them to
Hmm.
get married, the kids. And so this girl's two of her brothers said, we can't have our daughter or our sister marry these uncircumcised Philistines. I don't
Hmm.
think they said Philistines, whatever they were, these uncircumcised dogs. So if you wanted to marry our sister, you have to be circumcised. And so not just him, but his whole family and this whole town. And so they did it, and they went to the townspeople and they told them, look, if this guy becomes part of our group, we'll all get rich because he's got all these flocks, blah blah blah. And so they did it. Well, then while they were all recovering, the uh, the brothers go in and basically just slaughter everybody while they're in pain. So and when I read it that night, I said, "This is generally a story you don't hear preached about in church from the Bible."
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're not sure what big lesson to take from it,
I know.
other than kick them while they're down, kill
Yeah,
them while they're recuperating.
I don't think that's the lesson that was
Yeah,
intended. I was going to
yeah,
say, don't rape anybody. How about that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Well, it's like that is what the big lesson would be. Is like careful what you put in somebody else's heart. It's like
Well, yeah, that's and I think that yeah, I forget
Flyfox
exactly
Pro
what I
says his
said about
comic.
it.
Flyfox Pro says his comic is almost done. Probably next week it will be fully inked.
Oh wow, I'm jealous. Mine will not be inked next week.
Yeah.
You would think it'd be faster with Cyclopses, but I think it's taken me longer. you can. I tell you, there is definitely a ratio between how much penciling you want to do if you're inking yourself and how much you don't want to do. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, how done do you want them to be? The pencils to be, that is. You know.
The
I
more
think.
you do them, I tell you, the easier the inking is. It's like you don't
Yeah,
want to do a
that is
lot of
true. I
you don't want to do a lot of inventing while you're inking. You want to have it down and
Yeah.
have it all designed out.
I, I will agree with that for sure.
If you want it to look good, I had to ask a couple of questions of this guy Rob Willis that I follow on Twitter. I just couldn't believe the minutia of what he was penciling. Everything he was going to do in the inks, every little flick of of uh, how you feather your lettering, how you hatch. It was there. There was nothing
Oh
left
yeah.
out in terms of like the calligraphy of his hatching. It's
Oh
complete,
yeah.
so that when he starts inking, he's not getting lost. It's all been done already, and it's done
Well,
as the idea of being. This is going to be inks. He doesn't use the pencil to do what a pencil can do. He pencils
oh really?
he pencils to uh, achieve what inks look like. So
Huh.
when you start hatching, no, I'll send you some examples of that. What I'm talking
Yeah, I
about.
do. I'd be curious what that looked like for
Yeah,
sure.
I will make a note of
Ellis,
that.
we've been over an hour. We've
We
been
have
over an
been
hour. Yeah.
kill all of them while they're recuperating. That's the last word from Fly Fox Pro. He's got the
That's
last
the
word
word.
tonight.
Yeah. I don't think that. Well, yeah. That okay. We'll go with that. I don't think that was the
Yeah.
lesson we were intended to get out of that story, but I'll go
Yep.
with that.
Yep. Okay. This has been story time with Ellis and Scott, and we'll see you again soon. You want to say anything, Scott?
No, just thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. You know, I see we get a few views after the fact.
Yep.
You know, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Take
Hope
it
we're not
easy,
too boring.
everybody. No, take it easy.
See ya.